Hello everybody, this is Janessa Mosley with JM Wildlife Arc, and today I will be doing another video showing off my enclosures and the different enclosures I have, showing off the 2 racks I have, talking a little bit more about those. Today's video is going to be a little bit interesting for the angle in which I will be filming at. I'm actually using my other arm to hold my phone, which hopefully captures me and a full angle of the enclosures. I will be coming in and out of camera to show the enclosures a little bit more visually. That way I'm not in the way. That way I can talk about them. You can also visually see them and kind of do a little bit of both at the same time. I film all of my videos with my iPhone camera, so this is kind of a learning experience for me. So here we go. So behind me, I have basically all PVC enclosures. My goal, which I think I'm basically there, now it's just about adding more enclosures. My goal is to have all of my enclosures upgraded to PVC. I personally like PVC as I find that it works the best for keeping the humidity really well. It's easiest to clean. I find PVC just works very well. It's very lightweight, so the enclosures are easy to move, they're easy to handle, which works especially well for me because I'm smaller. So that works really, really well, which I'll go ahead and show you the enclosures a little bit more here. I'm going to step out of the video for a little bit while I talk. Here is one of my snake racks. So that's by Animal Plastics. The 3 enclosures up here are from Animal Plastics. I'm not sure what brand this one is. I do know it's PVC. This one on the bottom here is actually a melamine enclosure. I will be upgrading that sometime next month in June. And so the bottom enclosures are 5 foot by 2 foot by 2 foot with Mama Aurora here in the bottom and then Waffles on the one on top. My goal is to get them into 6 foot by 2 foot by 2 foot enclosures. I do believe, in my opinion, that adult females, and probably adult males too, depending on the size of the boa, I do believe they should be in 6 foot by 2 foot by 2 foot enclosures for adults. I have all my sub-adult boas in 4 foot. This one's a 4 foot by 2 foot, and then the other ones are 4 foot by 2 foot by, I want to say 18 inches. So not quite 2 foot by 2 foot, but almost. So that's what most of these are. That's what all of these are here. And then I've actually got another set of enclosures over here. These are from Boa. These are 4 foot by 2 foot by, I want to say 18 inches. And I've actually got dividers in them right now. I've got some of my grow out boas in there. Don't mind all the humidity, I just got done misting. Which this beautiful girl here, her name is Poppy. She's going to be going into her new forever home here soon. And I actually really like the Boa enclosures. I like that they come with these latches that lock the enclosures without actually needing a key. I prefer that. The lights were actually put into the enclosure. I did purchase the enclosure with the lights in them. I myself really like the lights. This is probably my favorite stack of enclosures. I really like the Boa enclosures. They're easy to open and close. They're stackable. They're all run off one thermostat from underneath heating. Typically, I like to use radiant heat panels. However, there are some circumstances where I do like to use heat tape. You can heat up a larger selection of enclosures with heat tape and have all the heat tape to the enclosures run off one thermostat, which I have up here. And don't mind my sign name, the misspelling at the end. I'm going to be getting that changed here soon. That sign does mean a lot to me though, because my partner made that for me. So I will be keeping that one personally. I'm actually getting a new logo made here soon that I'll be showing off with everybody once it's done. I'm excited to announce that. So going over the enclosures too, you'll notice a lot of people are going to ask, well, Janessa, why do they look so barren? How come there's not substrate in there? How come there's not very many hides in there? And my reasoning for that with my subadult and adult boas, there's a couple reasons. For one, constantly rearranging things. I'm constantly moving boas around, being that I breed boas. I do find homes for some of the boas. So boas are kind of moving around. It's almost like playing Tetris. So rearranging things, it makes it a lot easier to have less hides. As far as the substrate goes, I'm kind of in and out of different substrates that I've been using. I was using ReptiChip for a while. I do like ReptiChip, however, it wasn't very ideal for me. I started using wood aspen chips for my younger boas, for my boa tubs as well, which I'll go ahead and show those here in just a minute. The aspen chips, here I can actually go show one now. The aspen chips actually make it a lot easier for cleaning. They're good at absorbing the feces. It's just really easy to manage. The humidity is perfectly fine. All of my boas all the younger boas have shed perfectly fine with aspen without any issues. These tubs right here are for smaller boas, for younger boas, for baby boas, boas that are growing out. Depending on the size and the age of the boa, I typically don't like to keep boas in a tub size like this any longer than a year. My goal is to get them out of here into bigger tubs or bigger enclosures, or find them good homes before they're a year old. Unless, in her case, with this girl I actually showed, she's a Nicaraguan boa, so she's a lot smaller. She's actually about a year old, and she still has plenty of good space back in there. And she's very comfortable. If she wasn't comfortable in here, I wouldn't keep her in here. That's the number one thing, is watching your boa's body language, seeing if they're comfortable, if they're not comfortable, if they're constantly moving around, if they're constantly rubbing their nose on the tub or the enclosure. That's one way you can tell that they're not comfortable, that they might be stressed out. So as you can see with her in there, she was very comfortable, just relaxing. I've had her for coming on 3 weeks now. She's already taken 2 meals with me. She's already had a shed. She's doing great. So that's my baby rack. And as far as the aspen, some people like it, some people don't. I have no problems with it as far as my grow outs. As far as my adults, I do like to use the paper towels. It's a lot easier for rearranging things, for cleaning, when I get ready to breed. Again, this coming October, I prefer to use paper towels or paper for that. So, obviously, if I could, I would give all of my boas nice, big, beautiful, huge enclosures. Being that I am a breeder, that is harder to do. So I give them enough space to where they're healthy, they're happy, they can move around properly, they're comfortable. I monitor their body language to see, okay, does this boa prefer more space? Would they like more hides? Are they comfortable? Are they not comfortable? So that is something I take into consideration a lot. When you have 34 boas or more, it can be a lot to deep clean every enclosure that has substrate, that has a lot of branches, that has a lot of different stuff. So I basically find the best of both worlds. The number one priority is making sure the boas are healthy and happy. So as long as they're healthy and happy, that's number one. Secondly, managing the space, making sure that they all have enough space to where they're all comfortable and I can continue producing boas and being able to house them properly. I feel like a lot of people don't fully get into or talk about how much it takes to breed boas. Particularly right now, I'm talking about space. When Aurora had her first litter, she had 25 babies. I find that was rather large for her first litter. From the research I've done, not all females have that many for their first litter. It can happen, it does happen. I've heard of it happening, it's just not very common. So when Aurora had all of her babies, I had these two racks right here, which 12 on the top, 12 on the bottom. That makes 24. She had 25 babies. So at the time, I thought, okay, I can pair, or not pair, but have two babies in one tub at a time. Learn the hard way, do not do that. The babies can potentially eat each other. After they have their first shed, they should all be kept separately, no matter what. You can have them out, out and about if you're holding them, if you're monitoring them, that's completely fine. However, boas should not be housed together when they're young. They can be together after they're born, before they have their first shed. After they have their first shed, they should be kept separately. So I made the mistake of keeping two in one tub. One of the babies unfortunately passed away. So that was a huge learning experience for myself. And one of the reasons I'm sharing my experiences is so the viewers, you guys, can hear my experiences, learn from them, and for people that might be getting into boas or learning about boas or just getting into breeding, I can help prevent you guys from making some of the mistakes I made getting into the boas and learning as much and coming as far as I've come now. So it's very important to have plenty of space, the proper space for housing boas. So this is where I keep my baby boas. And then after they're about a year old, or in the case of Nicaraguans, I'd probably wait till they're about maybe closer to 2 years old, since they're a good amount smaller. After that, I move them into my racks over here. The angle's a little interesting for me, so I'll go ahead and step out. This rack over here, this is where I keep my grow out boas. I have to get measurements on these tubs and find out which tubs these are again. But they've got, as you can see, plenty of room. The thermostat is up here. The warm spot is on 90. I really like these tubs for grow out boas. They have plenty of space. Comes with the water bowl, which this comes out. This gray part does not, which is actually handy so they don't tip it over. Hi. He's getting ready to shed. And then the tubs here on the bottom are the exact same length. However, I will be ordering ones that are the same width as these guys up here. So as you can see, plenty of space. Really like how they hold the water bowls. So once again, this is not for boas to live in permanently. These boas are not going to live in here their whole lives. As a matter of fact, they're not going to live in there most of their lives. The boas in here right now are a year old, except for Alucard on the bottom. He's one of my Nicaraguan males. He's about 2 years old. But as I mentioned before, Nicaraguans are smaller. So that won't be, he can stay in there a little bit longer. That won't be too much of an issue. However, I actually have an enclosure coming up soon for Alucard that I'll be moving him into here soon in the next few days. So I'm excited for that. So this rack here that I just showed, I would probably keep my boas in here. They're a year old, probably until they're about 2 to 3 years old. Once they hit about 2 to 3 years old, depending on what size they are at that time, then I will be upgrading them into either bigger racks or more PVC enclosures. I haven't figured that out yet. A lot of people have recommended the Freedom Breeder racks or similar, so that's something I'm looking into. I personally don't like the way they look. I think they're great for housing boas. I just don't like the way they look as far as being in my living room. As you can see, this is my living room and my dining room area. And I like the way these look. I like the way these look in my home. The animal plastic rack, that to me doesn't look too bad. The tubs are see-through. You can see through the sides of the rack. So, I don't know, to me it looks a little bit more, it looks better. It looks better to me. As far as the big Freedom Breeder racks, I just don't think those would look very ideal in my living space. So that's what I'm trying to figure out. Figuring out exactly how many boas I plan on keeping long term. And even the ones I don't plan on keeping long term, it all depends on when the boas find homes, when they do sell. I do have them listed on Morph Market, but sometimes they don't always sell. Sometimes it takes longer. That's another big important part of breeding boas is as a passion and a hobby is I care mostly about the boas. That's number one to me. The health and the happiness of the boas is number one to me. So that being said, I don't want to just breed boas to breed boas. I don't want to just produce boas to produce boas. I want to actually do it ethically, responsibly, have certain projects in mind, have certain goals in mind. I don't want to have too many females being paired at a time. The most I would probably pair is 2 or 3 females at a time. Probably no more than that, just for my own preference. I'm not looking to be famous. I'm not trying to make a whole bunch of money. This is honestly for myself, something I'm passionate about, and it's a passion I'd like to share with other people that are also passionate about boas or reptiles in general. So, losing my train of thought. I'm trying not to say the word like I've been doing in my previous videos. I just tend to lose my train of thought and I lose track of my words. I have a harder time with words. There we go, saying again. So going back to the PVC enclosures, like I said, I will be getting Aurora down here, a new PVC enclosure later this month. I plan on getting her an Apex PVC enclosure that's going to be 6 foot by 2 foot by 2 foot. I do keep my baby boas in here until about a year old, and then I move them into something bigger like this. Or in the case of my living room, the boa file enclosures I have here. I love these enclosures. Poppy's over here hanging out, having a good time. I love these enclosures. I like how they come with dividers. I think it's perfect for grow-out boas as well. So that gives them about 2 foot by 2 foot of space, which once again, in about 2 to 3 years, these guys are gonna have to get upgrades. I'm either gonna have to figure out which ones I wanna keep, which ones I wanna list or offer up. So that way I can either basically sell half of them on this side, that way the other guys can have the full enclosure, or but get more enclosures for the ones I want to keep. That's probably another topic I'll save for another video, is talking about more holdbacks, keeping boas, breeding boas. Today I primarily wanted to go over the enclosures I have, the enclosures I use, the racks I use, what age and size boas I keep in the size racks I have. Just kind of go over a little bit about that and show what I'm working with. I do have another enclosure in our bedroom. I'm not going to show that because our room is a little messy right now. That's a vision enclosure I have. I want to say that one is it's 4 foot by 2 foot by 2 foot. Excuse me, and I have another boa in there. Her name is Addie. She's a rescue that I actually took in a couple months ago. And she's a sweetheart. She's just a normal BCI, but she's pretty decent size on her. And I would like to either get her into a bigger enclosure or plan on rehoming her when the time is right. So when it comes to breeding boas, things are kind of constantly moving. Nothing is sitting still. other than the adults stay in their main enclosures unless I upgrade them into something bigger, which my overall goal is to get all my adults in 6 foot by 2 foot by 2 foot enclosures, all of my sub-adult boas in 4 foot by 2 foot by 2 foots or 5 foot by 2 foot by 2 foots. All my grow out boas, so between a year and 3 years, are kept in bigger racks, and then all my baby boas are kept in the smaller animal plastics rack. Which for the PVC enclosures, a couple brands that I like that I use, Animal Plastics, Boa File, Apex enclosures. I believe I mentioned that's what I'm going to be getting for Aurora. I don't have that yet, but I'm excited to get that. That looks like a very nice quality PVC enclosure as well. So that will be exciting. I plan on posting more videos, sharing more about my enclosures and the racks as I upgrade them. I will be adding different substrate into the enclosures after breeding season. And just kind of going along as things go. One reason I've been taking so many videos as well is I am getting ready to have surgery on my left arm. I had my arm broken from a dog attack back in November of 2024, and I had to have a metal plate inserted into my arm. So I will be getting that plate removed on June 4th, as it's been very, very uncomfortable for me. And once that plate gets removed, I won't be able to use my arm for about 6 to 8 weeks. So I probably won't be posting videos, or if I do, I will not be able to really hold or do anything with this arm. So I won't be as active. So I'd like to post videos now while I can, while I've got really the passion to do it. I'd like to continue posting videos throughout all of the time I continue working with boas. I just might go on some breaks here and then. So I'm trying to kind of talk about it now and get some of the boa talk out of my system now before I go into surgery. Not really looking forward to it, but I know it's going to help me feel better. So it's what's important. It's another thing. Never forget, always take care of yourself. People come first, and then the animals. It's always important a person is healthy physically and mentally before taking on a large amount of animals, especially before deciding to breed them. So it's another thing I wanted to point out. I think I've kind of gone over and shown everything. I'll show everything again, as I know I've done a lot of talking. Another thing I'd like to say is I really like the Vivarium electronics thermostats. That one's my favorite as far as brands go. I haven't used every single brand. I've heard Herpstats are really good as well. The other brand I have on top, I believe, is called Inkbird, if I'm saying that correctly. This one down here, I actually got from Amazon. I've had it for a few years, and it's still hanging in there, but I'd like to get it replaced. The hides that I use are from Reptile Basics. The brand is also Vivarium Electronics, as you can see right here. It's a jumbo hide box. I have these stickers all over the place. And then in my adult enclosures, to heat all of the enclosures, I actually use radiant heat panels for all of these ones, which I'll kind of go in there, go in the bottom one here, and show up top. Radiant heat panel. This is what it looks like. They do have the power cord. Obviously, this one's kind of backwards. As you can see, the cord is coming out through the door here. Ideally, it would be better to have the cord probably coming out through a hole inserted on the enclosure. This is the probe to the thermostat. And this is Waffle's enclosure. She's got a lot of space. She prefers to hang out on the cool side over there. And yeah, I really like the radiant heat panels. I like the radiant heat panels primarily because of how well they heat up the enclosure. They heat up the enclosure very well. They keep the ambient temperature nice and warm. That way the boas have a warm side, they have a cool side, and the ambient temperature is where it should be. It helps with keeping the humidity well too. And that's what I prefer to use if I'm not using the heat tape. My number one preference for bigger enclosures is always going to be radiant heat panels. So when it comes to enclosures, my preference is PVC enclosures. Once again, they hold the humidity the best, they're easy to clean, they're easy to manage, they're easy to move. So that's my choice on enclosures. For heating, I prefer radiant heat panels or heat tape if you're heating a large, like a rack or a large section of Boas at a time. For thermostats, I myself like the Vivarium Electronics. I've heard Herpstats, excuse me, Herpstat is a really good brand as well. That's another brand I can't say I've used, but I would recommend based off what I've heard and what I've seen. And then, yeah, there's a lot of other things I want to go into. I want to start going into where I get my food from, feeding frozen versus feeding live, which I know I talked a little bit about. I try not to go into too many different topics in one video. I try to stay on one topic. So today I wanted to show the enclosures, go over the enclosures, go over a little bit about, well, why my enclosures are, why I chose the enclosures I chose, why they are the way they are, a little more of my experience, a little more of my preference, a little more about myself. So I look forward to making more videos. If you guys have any questions, please feel free to reach out to me, reach out in the comments. I love hearing feedback. I appreciate anyone who takes the time to watch my videos, listen to my videos. It means a lot to me. And I apologize for having a hard time with words and saying a lot. That's something I want to work on getting better at. So thank you again, everyone, for watching. And I hope you all have a beautiful and blessed day. Bye, guys.